Good morning. It's the Going On Daily Live morning show. Yay, we made it through another week. We made it to a long weekend. Hallelujah for that. And now you're going to relax, sit back, and listen to myself and my partner this week, the one and only JP Marsh.
How's it going?
Well, it's fine till I saw that hat.
Oh, it happens.
In a fit of being petty, I ran right to the next room and I was like, okay, I'm putting on my med hat. There we go.
Well, at this point, it's just habit. But I grew up in a state that didn't have a baseball team, and I live in a state that doesn't have any professional sports teams now. So I get to choose whoever I want. But most of my childhood was raised watching Derek Jeter in the Yankees and that kind of stuff. And so I used to watch a lot of baseball lately, since he retired.
Yeah.
I don't watch a ton of sports anymore. I mean, it's not what it used to be. Nobody's going to play for one team their entire career anymore. That's going to be a super rarity. They're going to bounce all over the place. It's not team anymore. It's me. It's I. Batting averages are down with baseball. Yep. Nobody wants to play the fundamentals. I mean, it's not even entertaining to watch anymore.
Oh, wow. You and I can have a long conversation about that. But I think Ron would rather save that for his sports show. Let's see. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. We're going to entertain you a little bit. And we want you to check out all of our socials. Now, pay attention. Get a pen and paper if you need to, because you want to tell people how to watch the show. If you're going to watch us live, you go to YouTube, you go to Rumble, you go to Kick. Those are all at, spell it out, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Okay? And don't forget, I left one out. There's Twitch, but Twitch is at RI_broadcasting. So a little different. If you just want audio, not look at our pretty faces, that's fine. You go to Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, or iHeartRadio, and all those are at RIBroadcasting. And of course, we have social media just like you do and every other show. We want you to follow us on TikTok, MeWe, Blue Sky, Parler, and LinkedIn. And how do you find us? You put in at RIBroadcasting. Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, it's at Broadcasting RI. We have a Facebook page just for this show, which is Going On Daily Morning Show. And of course, please subscribe to Patreon at RI Broadcasting. Patreon's the one place where you can really support us, not just by watching, but by buying merch. And we got the little logo here between JP and myself. You see that logo? You can get it on a pen, on a mug. Yeah, just buy that, support the show. It's going to help us out. And of course, everybody has a website. We're no different. We have ours at RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. Wow. Okay, so that was our show today because that took up a long time.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in the interweb connected world.
Yeah, pretty much, look up RI Broadcasting or Rhode Island Broadcasting. You're going to find either Going On Daily or one of the great shows on the network.
Yeah.
Well, it is Saturday. It is August 30th. Here's what we want you to know. Okay, they've done it again like they do every year. The dictionary, of course, gets updated because there are new things created every year, and they include slang, they include tech terms, anything in social media or cultural finds. They're going to put it in there. I wanted to play a little game with you, JP, and Captain Ron, you could chime in, and anybody else who's out there. These are new words that have been added, so they are now words in the dictionary, but do you know their meanings?
Oh, I don't know, probably not, but let's try.
Well, let's see. Do you know, and by the way, I have a hard time with this because the dictionary is supposed to define a word, and a lot of these are phrases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that, but that's what they did. Okay, my first one should be pretty easy. Do you know what a Nepo baby is?
That would be a child of somebody that's already either famous or, a pro sports. So it'd be like Deion Sanders' kid. It would be Ethan Hawke's daughter. It would be Ozzy Osbourne's daughter. It would be, anybody following in the footsteps, not even necessarily in the same genre, but
Yep.
A Nepo baby would have all the connections. Obviously, if you're Brad Pitt's kid, you already know agents, you already know managers, you already know casting agents, you already know people in the industry. So it gives you a sort of a leg up. Patrick Mahomes plays football. His dad was a baseball player, but he still had access to top tier nutritionists, trainers, athletic coaches, all of these different things.
Yep. Well, there you go. You got that one. We're going to give you a bell for that one. Okay, this one's been thrown around a lot. Do you know the definition for Riz?
It would be your pickup game. You know what I mean? Like your flirting game, your pickup game, your confidence. To say somebody's got a lot of Riz would mean that they're, competent in flirting, dating, that kind of stuff.
Or short for charisma. There we go. According to, good morning, by the way. Nepo equals name recognition for the child. Okay. Let's see if you know Delulu.
I would say delusional, if I had to guess.
Bingo. Shortened form for delusional, used on social media. Okay. Now let's go for this one, because I've never heard this one, but apparently I'm going to have to. Meat space, but it's spelled MEAT space.
I don't know. I haven't heard that one yet.
Neither did I. And it says the physical world as opposed to virtual world. So as they would say, IRL in real life. But what I want to know is, why is it MEAT, meat, as opposed to MEET?
Probably meat suit.
Maybe.
Being a physical, meeting in real life, being in a physical form, as opposed to like your avatar or online deal. You know what I mean? We're in a meat suit. Yeah.
Basically, so we're. I got you.
That'd be my best guess anyway.
Okay. Moving on from that, do you know what a microgrid is?
No.
Neither did I. It's a small electrical grid that can operate independently from a larger network. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Click chemistry.
I would assume it has something to do with online dating.
No, actually, a range of synthetic reactions that are useful in creating new compounds. So it actually has to do with real chemistry.
Oh.
But I like yours better, and it should be used for online dating. I clicked on someone, we got click chemistry right away. I like that.
Right.
Okay. Ooh. Sports washing.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. The definition is the act of using a sports event to improve the reputation of a person, company, or country. So I guess if things are going really bad, but the Olympics are on, you can get everybody to chant USA, USA.
Right.
Because you're using this sport to make everything else go away.
Right. Well, I mean, I imagine, Super Bowl, World Cup.
World Cup, definitely.
The national championship. I mean, I know people lose their minds for the national championship, college football, that kind of stuff, which, there's been no shortage of people going mad all over everything because today's the first day of college football and
yes, it is.
Yada, 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 all that stuff. I mean, it's
okay. Here's a different one. Do you know what the definition for Barbiecore is?
Oh,
I'm glad you don't, actually. Barbiecore is a style inspired by the movie Barbie. So anything that is I guess pink or blonde hair is either Taylor Swift or Barbie. So, it's now made the dictionary, Barbiecore.
I mean, there's other things in the dictionary that make no sense too. I mean, it's just.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, you wear pink. Cool.
Wait, JP, how old is your daughter?
10.
10. I wonder if we brought her here and fed her half these words. I bet she would know them more than we do.
Some, but she's not allowed on social media, and she doesn't have a phone, stuff like that. And so living in a small town, some of that stuff takes a lot longer to creep into the schools and into those sorts of things, being in a rural area. But, she dresses more like Adam Sandler than Barbie. So.
Some gym shorts, large t-shirt.
Yep. Baggy sweatpants, big t-shirts, that kind of stuff.
That should be in the dictionary. Adam Sandler dress code. There you go. Let's see. Adultification.
Oh, if I had to guess, I would say kids trying to be grown-ups.
Close. It's actually treating children like they're grown-ups. So, okay. So if you tell your kid to go pay your taxes, that's adultification.
Or venting to them, using them as your therapist, any of that kind of stuff, I imagine.
My kid's 23 now. Sometimes I do come to her and go, what do you think of this? And sometimes she'll give me a good answer.
But when you're doing it to a 12-year-old, it's a bit different.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. This is an interesting, I never heard of it, but I guess we're going to have to learn. What is Chekhov's gun?
Is it an artifact? Is it like something in history?
No, it's a principle that suggests an unnecessary element in a story should be omitted. And all I could think of is, because it's not Chekhov the right. I'm actually thinking it's Chekhov from Star Trek, the old Star Trek.
Oh, maybe.
Elements of a story. Like you could have gotten rid of him and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. And, we're going back. Okay, what is bussin'?
Bussin'?
Bussin'.
I know I've heard it, but I don't know what it means. I haven't quite Googled that one yet.
Isn't it weird that we have heard some of these terms? The comment went away too quick. I didn't get to see it. Bussin' is often found in slang meaning extremely good or delicious. It's like the monkeys in in a super crap movie. It's an interesting way of looking at it. So now you're going to have to read your dictionary to find out words and phrases that we may use, but now we can get it done. Now it's actually in there as a real term, and we're all going to learn. Is there anything that you think should be in the dictionary that isn't? Like a phrase, I'm guessing.
I mean, they put kind of everything in there all the time. Totally. Not off the top of my head. There's nothing I can think of that I wish was in the dictionary that isn't.
There is something called, have you ever heard of the Urban Dictionary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Urban Dictionary is separate for slang, and I have 3 different words that I have made up that I've put in there. One of which is fun adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, have you ever been in a group of people and they're your friends, they're your group, and whenever you go out, you're having fun and you're making jokes and laughing. And there's always that one person who's sort of on the outside and they're laughing with everybody, but they never contribute to anything.
Right.
They seem like they're fun, but they're really just fun adjacent to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught you a new word, fun adjacent, and the other one is for my daughter because I've been making this joke since she was born. I'm a nice little Jewish boy from the Bronx, and I married a Filipino woman, and so we have a Jewapino.
Nice.
So now I've taught you some words, and now we're going to learn about a place that I've been reading about, but I want to find out more. Flathead Lake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with it being the long weekend, the Labor Day weekend in the States, people going on vacations, doing all this stuff right before school starts or the end of summer kind of trips, that kind of stuff. And then they kind of said something about, because I live in Montana, which is big sky, very open, a lot of forest. First National Park is here, all that stuff. And there's a lot of wonders in the area that I live in, and Flathead Lake is one of them. And it's in northwestern Montana, and it's about 30 miles from Glacier National Park.
Okay.
And it's the clearest lake on the North American continent. You can see the bottom anywhere you are on the lake, but it doesn't look. I mean, if you Google it and look at the pictures, you see the boat and you see the shadow of the boat on the floor of the water. Like it looks like it's floating on air because it's that clear. But it's a freshwater lake that's still glacier water, is why it's so clear.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then it's almost 200 square miles of water.
Jesus.
And in there, you have an island with a bunch of hiking. You have the biggest bighorn sheep in the world roaming around there.
Really?
Wild horses running around. The entire place is surrounded by cherry orchards. And you're about 30 miles from Glacier National Park, which is one of the most beautiful national parks that we have in the country. Kalispell, which is a couple 100,000 population town, is 20, 30 miles away. So if you don't want to do the camping, you can do the hotel kind of deal and travel around. And then obviously it's in Montana. You're 5,000 feet above sea level, and you have just thousands of miles of any kind of hiking you want to do or any kind of boating you want to do and swimming and walking, cherry picking. They do the festivals and the wildlife watching and all that stuff. So
wow. That sounds like heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fishing. What kind of?
There is fish. There's lake trout, bass, perch. Is mostly the big ones that you're going to catch in there. I mean, there's probably a couple others, but those are the ones that people are going to be going after. You can take boats in there, rent boats, do the marina, the jet skis and all that stuff. It's got the big state park. So. Yeah. I mean, it's big. I mean, you're not going to run into, there could be multiple people there that on the same day, and you may never even see them.
Jeez.
They have all the normal stuff that, cities have. They got their own brewery. They got the Cherry Festival. You can go up there and go to Whitefish Mountain Resort in the wintertime if you're not doing the summer trip, and do the skiing, the snowboarding, cross-country skiing. And also it's Northwest Montana. And so you can almost throw a rock and hit the hot springs. So it doesn't matter what direction you go, you're up in the mountains where all the hot springs are.
You got Ron because they have a brewery.
Yeah. But I mean, if you catch the sheep, you catch the wild horses running around. I mean, obviously there's all the other animals that you need to either watch out for or pay attention to. You got your mountain lions, probably. You got your bears. You got your
okay, wait a minute. So you are in nature. I mean, this is full on. Is there?
It's the Rocky Mountains. It's the Rocky Mountains. So everything that's in the Rocky Mountains is going to be. It's possible. I mean, the likelihood that you're going to run into some of these wild creatures in touristy kind of places, but they're still going to be around.
That sounds awesome. I used to go in my younger days when we used to go camping. and real camping, like you were describing. You said they have the hotels. No, put up your tent, sleep in a sleeping bag, cook open an open fire. That's camping, and that's fun. And this sounds like heaven out there, especially with all that. I love a good lake. Yeah.
And I mean, the temperatures for this weekend is 83, 85, 87 over the next 3 days.
Perfect. The only thing bad I could think of is mosquitoes.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't been bad where I live this year, so they may not be that bad up there. It's hard to say because all the water runs fast.
Yeah.
Because it's all river water that comes snow runoff and that kind of stuff. So the mosquitoes are a little bit less than the places with the standing, the slow moving rivers.
Even better. Oh my God, if I can go camping and I don't have to worry about mosquitoes and I've got nature all around me and I can go on a jet ski in the lake. I mean, that sounds like a perfect weekend to me.
Yeah. And I mean, Yellowstone, you can get to the Yellowstone National Park in a day's drive, probably. A day and a half turnaround, something like that, and be able to go through that. Yeah. If you go through Glacier National Park, I think that there's still, if you were going to do that and travel, you'd have to try to book it. And I know that some of the parks you have to reserve your entry because they're just busy, But they have the sun road that goes through Glacier, and you can drive up over the top of it. But you have to get your pass, and it's 6 months, 9 months out sometimes, depending on what weekends you're trying to go.
Yeah. Do you know how much that costs to get the pass?
I don't think it's super expensive. I mean, your normal state, national park entry, $30 a car or something.
Okay. Hey, that's especially with inflation going wild. You can go out there, have a great time, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
What town is it technically in, or is it in multiple towns?
Well, there's Flathead County, and there's a town, Flathead Lake, that's on, right on the lake, stuff like that. But it's pretty, I don't think it's necessarily a big city or big town, but you can get your stuff there, and they have the marina and that kind of stuff. Kalispell's not that far away. And what was the other one? I always forget. Big Fork is on the northeastern shore of Flathead Lake. It would be you would call it a touristy town, kind of hit ebb and flows with the tourist seasons, probably a little bit more stuff going on in the summertime than in the wintertime.
Let me ask you a question. Do the locals get bothered by, like you said, it's a tourist town. Do they get bothered by the people coming in and calling it things like quaint and,
I don't think so much in the places that are designated touristy towns. Because those towns, most of the people that you're going to run into are seasonal employees that come and work there during the summertime and that kind of stuff. There's a town that I'll talk about one of these other weekends, but it's in, on the other side of me in the Dakotas, and the town is only a town in the summertime when they do the music festival. They have a big outdoor stage, and they do a musical every Friday and Saturday night. And then it's all shops and it's all tourist stuff. But in the wintertime, there's nobody there.
Oh, the whole place closes down.
Right. And so that happens a lot around here, because winter times are tough. And, in some of those places you're so, if it snows, you're stuck. And so a lot of the towns kind of dissolve in the wintertime, except for the people that have been there forever and the, locals. And then everybody kind of migrates to the bigger cities. There's a lot of snowbirds in Montana.
I would imagine. I mean, like you said, the winters are kind of rough. Okay, Ron, I will read your note. He said it won't cost an arm and a leg unless you run into a mountain lion or a bear. So.
Yeah. Or, if you try to pet the fluffy cow, it it might get you to the emergency room real fast.
Those are always the stories that get me, mostly out of Yellowstone, where it's, hey, look, there's a bison. Let's see how close I can get to it to take a picture or touch it. And then they get gored and they're upset because,
because I tried to touch a wild animal. It's so weird. Yeah, I mean, that's the one disclaimer I would say to anybody that's going to travel to a place like that they've never been. Even if you are in the park, it's still a wild animal. And outside of, certain times of the year, any animal is going to protect its babies if it feels like you're a threat. And other times of the year, if it's mating season, they're turned up to 11, aggressive wise. And also be mindful of the things that you're doing and touching and this and that. There was a story last year of some people that were in Yellowstone or Glacier or something, and they'd seen some bear cubs, thought they were doing a favor, and grabbed them, put them in their car, took them to the Forest Service office.
Aww.
And they went to jail and they got fined because now the mom ain't taking them back. Now they got to go to a refuge because they're not going to be able to fend for themselves because their mom's not going to, you imprinted on them and they have your scent. So it's either release them back into the park so they can just die, or they have to go to an enclosure deal. And so leave the wild animals alone. Watch, don't touch kind of deal, respect the environment that you're in.
Well, I guess I can blame Disney for that because they, animorphed all those animals, and now we all think, oh, the bear's so sweet, and we can go and touch him, and we can do this and that.
Or the bison, or the fox, or the,
or the monkeys, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah. And some of the cute little ones will take your hand if you try to touch them, I mean, sure, badgers look cute, but
oh God, no.
They'll take your whole hand from you if you're not careful, just because a bison doesn't move very fast doesn't mean it's not going to throw you 20 feet in the air.
I mean, think, when you go to the zoo, there's a reason why these animals are in enclosures. So it doesn't take your hand off because you're not smart enough to know not to touch them.
Right.
Well, I brought up Disney before, and I found this little story about the rules of Disney cast members. They are called cast members, the ones who wear the outfits, what they must follow. So this is all about Disney. So first of all, simple things. You are in character. As long as you are wearing that suit, you are not allowed to take off the head, no matter how hot, cold, whatever it is. And you have to know everything about your character. So you actually have to go home and study. And so when little kids come up and they ask you inventive questions, my mouse goes to the bathroom in a cage. Do you live in a cage? You have to come up with creative answers that have quote unquote magic themes in them. So you have to do that. You are not allowed to eat while you are working in a character. I think that's pretty simple because, I mean, think of some of those big outfits. There's no mouth anyway where you could do it. I guess if you're playing like a princess or, something like that.
Gaston, or one of the ones where you're not in a suit to be a comic or a cartoon character.
Not allowed to eat. Let's see. You must act, speak, and behave as your character. You are not allowed to mention anything outside of Disney. So if somebody asks you, if you walk up to Mickey Mouse and you go, listen, my car is somewhere out here. Do you know how to get to this hotel? Mickey's not even going to know that there's a hotel outside of Disney.
Right.
So that's going to be a little weird.
I mean, yeah, but no. I mean, to the outside people, to the outside world, it probably seems weird. But to me, I mean, you're being played to play a character, and the entirety of the Disney park is your stage. Now, if you're playing a play on Broadway and somebody blurts something out in the audience, then people aren't answering the audience. You know what I mean? I don't really see a lot of the difference in that. I mean, but I wish they would sort of get back to being, kids is their main focus instead of everything else. And maybe do less greed and more experience, kind of how it probably used to be, maybe start limiting, the passes that you're selling per day so that people aren't stuck spending the entire day in one line to see one character or do one thing. Mm-hmm. The sort of, if you're at a place for kids, you know what I mean? Maybe set more of a sort of a clothing expectation for the guests that are coming in.
They have
and requirements for the way that you're interacting. You know what I mean? I mean, you just see all these horror stories about all of these experiences at Disney, and nobody's paying $500 to go watch all this other stuff. You know what I mean? You want your kids to have a good time. And sure, things are expensive, but if you go in there and you're paying $25 for a bottle of water and $80 for whatever the food and drinks cost, and you're either in Orlando or you're in California and it's going to be 100 degrees and you're standing in one spot waiting on Splash Mountain to open up and all these different things, you know what I mean? I don't mind but I get the character deal. You want everybody to experience what they want, the experience they want to have at Disney. And so just like any other job, the expectations when you take the job.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody that's ever played for the Yankees knew they had to shave. And if Steinbrenner didn't like the way you were acting, he'd fire you on the spot. I mean, you're an employee. But if I took my 10-year-old daughter to Disney World and she goes up and starts talking to, whatever character is her favorite, she wants to talk to that character, not the person that's playing that character.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, let's see, a Disney character is not allowed to ever say, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So if the question, you have to come up with an answer, which is weird because then if you ask the same question of another character who's, in another part, and you're not going to get that same answer because they're improvising.
Right.
Let's see. Tattoos must be covered. Hair color must be natural. Can't dye your hair. Nails must be short. No jewelry. No eyewear. Now, here's some weird stuff. You're not allowed to hold a baby. Now, wouldn't you want, you're walking up and you see a princess and you're like, I got to get a picture of Ariel holding my kid. You're not allowed to do that. I wonder why.
I would guess that they, wardrobe malfunctions.
Ooh.
If the baby throws up all over Cinderella or throws up on Mickey's suit or spits up or goes to the bathroom or something like that, plus I would say the legal liability of people who are wearing these unnatural sized gloves, trying to hold a baby. What happens if who's at fault if it slips out of your hand, something like that. I would say some of it's legal, but some of it's also, if they want Cinderella to look a certain way, you're holding onto a baby and the baby rips the crown off and pulls your hair out, then Cinderella disappears because she's got to go back and get all that fixed.
Bingo.
I would say it's probably a mix of a bunch of that kind of stuff, but all the other stuff doesn't really surprise me. I mean, but they're not doing anything different than casting for a movie or a TV show. I mean, Absolutely. They know who they're looking for, generality wise. Cinderella is going to be blonde and need to be built this way and have this sort of smile and this color of eyes, just like Jasmine's going to need to be dark haired with brown eyes and, all of these different things. Obviously, the person if you're going in there to try to get the job as Aladdin and you got a mohawk, they're probably not going to hire you. Or if you're, if you're bald, they're probably not, you're probably not that character.
Let's see. Here's some things. You are allowed, when kids hug you, because a lot of kids will run up, they're amazed.
Right.
You know, oh my God, my favorite character has come to life.
Right.
You are not allowed to let go of that hug until they do. Lets go.
Which is nice. I mean, you know, as somebody who grew up in a small restaurant that my parents had, you know, and it wasn't necessarily like a family place or anything like that, but even still now, I mean, if you're going somewhere where you're paying for the experience, you kind of want that experience. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want your kid to be pushed off of their favorite Disney character or Marvel character, or, you know, if you go to, you know, a water park, you don't want to show up and have half the water slides shut down.
I think they can't say outside Disney that when they play the character. You're right. Yeah, nothing is outside of Disney according to the characters. Mm-hmm. Now, what about if you're the parent and, like you said, you're sitting, it's 100 degrees, you are constantly waiting everywhere, you're spending all this money, you're sweating, kids are yelling, and you see Aladdin, and your kid runs up and hugs Aladdin, and it's been 2 minutes, and there's a bunch of other kids out there. Isn't it up to the parent then to go, hey, kid, son, break it up, daughter, break it up?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. And it's kind of like we were just talking about with the national parks and animals and stuff like that. Read the room, read the situation, and be a respectful human being to everybody else that's there. You know what I mean? Like, sure, your kid ran up and they wanted a long hug and it's their favorite character and they want to ask them a couple questions, but you're not the main character.
Oh.
And your kid's not the main character really either. And so be polite and be respectful, because there's probably 50 other kids standing there waiting to run up and hug that same character. You know what I mean? Like, have a little bit of empathy and a little bit of grace with your surroundings, you know?
But they're not thinking that, because I paid $1 million to do all this. And
that's where the money comes in and entitlement, and you know what I mean? Like, but you didn't pay any more than everybody else.
True.
And so, you know, that's the entitlement main character kind of mentality of it. Like, oh, I paid all this money. Well, everybody else did too, you know? So have a little bit of, you know, grace. And, you know, I'm not saying like you just have to run through and high five all the characters, but, you know, be respectful of everybody else too, because they, like I said, like I assume that they probably overflood that place, and so there's going to be a ton of people that aren't going to be able to meet their favorite character if you're standing there taking up a half hour of their time, you know.
I brought my daughter when she was 8, I want to say. And we got pictures with all the princesses she wanted. And I have Mickey and Minnie. We waited online to meet Donald Duck. It must have been about 20 minutes. She looked at him and went, nope, and took off. So It was like, oh, that was fun time waiting. So, but other than that, we had a fun time. Every character, because obviously, kids, if you're listening, cover your ears for a second. There are different people playing the same character.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, you have to go to class to learn how to sign the same autograph.
Right.
So that way, you come home and your cousin went, you go, I got his autograph. Oh, good, it's the same.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to point with one finger. It's always 2 fingers.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, can you come up with any reason why 2 fingers?
No, I don't know. That's a good question.
And lastly, well, guess what? When you're a character, you're also a garbage man, because if you are a character and you see garbage, you are required to scoop it up and bring it to the nearest receptacle. Which,
I mean, that's kind of a sad thing that you have to be told to clean up your workspace and to take pride in the place that you work. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if somebody throws their beer cup over towards first base, I mean, Pete Alonso is probably going to walk over there and throw it in the garbage. You know what I mean? Like most people take pride in where they work and their workspace.
That's right.
And the way that they, you know, want to represent whatever kind of an organization that they work for, you know. But it's kind of sad that at this day and age, that has to be part of, you know, you have to enforce that and tell people to take pride in where they work.
Well, let's see. We had two other things that I wanted to bring up. Did you know that no one ever dies at Disney World? They won't allow it.
That's not surprising.
But how do you enforce that?
You mean like in real life?
Yeah, in real life.
Well, my best guess would be that they get you to the medical, wherever the medical area would be, and that's probably not considered to be in the park.
Bingo. You are right on the money. It said, no one ever passes away at the happiest place on earth. It seems impossible, but a former Disney employee shared with us how that happened. And you're pretty much right. No one will ever die inside of the park or property. How? Well, they had a time where an older gentleman just passed out. Like you said, it's 100 degrees, waiting in line, boom. The doctors were there right away to administer CPR. After 15 minutes, now most people will not give you CPR for 15 minutes, and it's not working. They will then continue CPR while moving him to a particular place which is not considered Disney World. And then if the person passes away on the death certificate, Disney World is not listed as the place of death. So no one will ever die at Disney. What happens if something happens on a ride? We've seen it. It's unfortunate.
I mean, I think it's less. I think Disney probably spends a lot more time and focus on maintenance and making sure that none of that stuff's going to happen, because they literally cannot take the bad press or hit of some catastrophe happening like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't do a ton of rides, like, you know, at the fair and stuff like that, because you're talking about things that are getting moved around week to week to week, being set up by a bunch of people who are probably, you know, like any job, it becomes monotonous and you overlook things, and that's why these things kind of come apart. But the ones that are stationary, unless it's a newer deal and stuff like that, I would assume that they all spend quite a bit and are pretty up on top of like the maintenance. You know, the Six Flags, the casinos that have big roller coasters down, you know, the stuff in Vegas, Disneyland, that kind of stuff, because you're dependent on people wanting to come there. And if they have fear of something happening,
lawsuits.
The lawsuits, but the loss of revenue from people being like, well, I'm not going to go there now. You know what I mean?
Well, did you hear about what is it's in Ohio, Cedar Park, I believe. They have, it's one of the biggest parks around, and their newest roller coaster has broken down 4 times in the middle of people being stuck on them. Right. So, and
you see it a lot with like the old ones and the new ones.
Let that happen.
You see it a lot with the old roller coasters and the new ones, because they haven't ironed out the bugs, or they rushed it to get it going so that they could get that draw from the, you know, new ride or whatever. And then it, you know, but I mean, you're putting a lot of, I mean, it's not my thing. You know, mechanical failure is going to happen no matter what. I mean, nobody's car runs forever. Nobody's tools run forever. Nobody's elevator runs forever. No, I mean, there's mechanical failures, and I don't want to be a part of it. But also, like, you have to, you know, where you're going is going to depend on their maintenance and engineers and how much they care about everything working and functioning properly before they open that park that day. I mean, I don't want to go bungee jumping because, like any profession or anything else, you're in the business to make money. And so they'll push the bungee probably to its limit. And I don't want to be the one that is the one person too many and have it snap. And that's, you see those ones that snap, and that's why.
It's real.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see you with your daughter at Disney anytime soon, huh?
Disney, I mean, her mother and I have talked about it. My daughter doesn't necessarily, I mean, she's not a big thrill seeker, rides, that kind of stuff. If they take, my daughter's in a blended family. And so if they take their kids, which would be my daughter and then his son, all go at the same time, and then we can alternate, and it'd be nice because we could have adult time and do the nightlife and do whatever we want to do. And then, like a couple of days she'll be with me, a couple of days she'll be with them to do the family and the park stuff and stuff, all that stuff. And then I think that'd be the better way to go about it. But I mean, there's so much stuff down there that, because we would probably go to Florida, and there's so much stuff down there that I don't know how long I could, the couple days I wouldn't have her, I'd probably just kind of hang out by the pool at the hotel, because I mean, it's just too many people. I live in a place of 6,000 people. I'm going to run into more people by 9 o'clock in the morning than I see in a total month.
You are correct. May I recommend then Universal down in Florida? Awesome. I mean, Disney's nice, but I like Universal.
I would do that. I would do that. I would do the Back to the Future and all that stuff. That would be more my speed. But I'll take her to Disney if that's what she wants to. But I mean, my idea of a perfect vacation is sitting in a lawn chair on the beach and just watching the waves crash for 10, 12 hours straight. Oh my God.
But I like that you and your ex-wife are adults about that, and you can figure out that you want to be, you should both be on these experiences that your kid's going to have. That's awesome. Some adults, unfortunately, aren't there. And lastly, my last part of the story on Disney is, like I said, they hug everybody. It is the friendliest place on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what happens when somebody maybe didn't read the room properly at Disney. Well, they had a 19-year-old girl named Katrina, and she was playing Rapunzel, the long hair. And she's obviously in the park. And as we spoke about earlier, not wearing a costume per se, just, the dress, the long hair, and things like that. A man walks up and he asks for a hug.
Right.
And of course, she's going to oblige. And then she notices he's got Disney princesses tattooed on both arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Oh, my tattoos? Would you like to see them?" And they are all of Disney princesses, but they are not, shall we say, family friendly the way Disney would have liked to have them represented. So he starts showing off his tattoos of half-naked princesses.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, this is a grown man, Rapunzel refused a hug.
Right.
And the guy got very upset. She went in, she asked to speak to a supervisor, which, as we spoke about before, you're playing the character. But she felt, a little bit...
Well, right. I mean, it's an adult, you know what I mean? Like, hug every kid. And, but that's where... I wish it would go back to being just about the kids, for the kids, all, a kid experience. You know what I mean? Some creepy deviant, we'll say, that has a bunch of naked princess tattoos all up and down his arms that wants to grope his favorite princess. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm on her side. I don't think it's her duty, responsibility, or it should be part of her job to entertain some grown man's fantasy of smelling Rapunzel, or whatever the deal is.
Well, he asked for a hug. She She, refused. Yeah, he asked for a picture. He refused. Like I said, she went to a supervisor, and guess what? They went against, I guess, what their rules are, and said, nope, this guy, as a matter of fact, get away from every princess. We don't want to see you around them, and you have to cover up your tattoos if you want to stay in the park. So I applaud Disney for that one. They got it right. And I want to talk about now, because I really was excited when I saw on the rundown that you're going to talk about Deadwood. And I hope you're going to talk about the town and not the TV show.
It is. Well, yes. Essentially, it's probably both, but
okay.
With the weekend and the traveling and the vacations and these and those, if you're the camping, the wildlife, in the Pacific Northwest, anywhere up in the Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota regions, Deadwood is a very similar kind of a experience, except you're in the Black Hills instead of the Rocky Mountains. And it is a small town, but it is a 100% tourist town. I mean, it lives and breathes on the tourism. It's got casinos. It was a gold rush town. It's where Calamity Jane and Wild Bill Hickok both died, and they got tons of museums. And it's a really cool place. You walk down the street, and it still looks like all the buildings were built in the 1800s, and the hotels still look like they were built in the 1800s, and all of that stuff. And it's again in one of those places where within a couple hours of Deadwood, you can still go out in the mountains. There's hot springs, the rivers, the places to go fishing, the places to go hiking. There's still a ton of wildlife. There's, but you can also do the nightlife stuff. There's a lot of shows in Deadwood. There's a lot of, places to eat, a lot of breweries, that kind of stuff. But it's a cool place. I mean, if you want to travel back in time and see some American history, it's a fun place to go to.
That's what I would love to go there, just because it's a real Wild West town from back another era before, and they really do have like a cemetery with like Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane.
Mm-hmm. And then located in the heart of Deadwood, there's statues of the two most famous personalities, where you can get pictures taken with them. There's a bench where you can sit next to like a Wild Bill statue, and they got the trolley tour. I like that. Deadwood is a legalized gambling town. So, I mean, they got all of the, the casinos, the gambling, the poker rooms, that kind of stuff, same as they did. And it's all saloons instead of, like bars. Yeah. During certain weekends, when they have it all opened up, they'll close the main street, and you can take your drink from whatever saloon to whatever, like you could back in the day. And then the whole main street's all full of, little concerts and entertainment and games and do all these things. They do a lot of reenactment at the outdoor theater. And so like some of their most famous gunfights and all that stuff, they'll have like reenactment, like a play. They got Buffalo Bill's Historic Trail.
Nice.
They got the Adams Museum, one of the oldest museums in South Dakota, provides a fascinating collection of artifacts, including some tied with early days of Deadwood and famous people who lived there. Mount Moriah Cemetery, the final resting place of some of the most famous figures in the Old West, including Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane. But it's, it's still very much, paused in time. The way that it looks, the way that it feels. And then, you can get, your good food, the drinks and gamble and do all that stuff. And then when you go into the Black Hills, they have tons of, tours where you can go, gold panning on the rivers, and you can go do the helicopter tours and rent side by sides. I mean, you can do anything that you were able to do then, but also rent anything, tons of campgrounds, tons of, places to stay, places to hike, places to swim, and it's gorgeous. I mean, you're still in the mountains.
Do they the people in the town, are they all dressed up? Are they all? I know you said they had recreations of gunfights and things like that, but those are shows. If you go into a saloon, are they dressed period, like the period, or?
That probably depends on if you go like on a certain weekends where it's the whole town's sort of combined to put on a big show, that kind of stuff. I would assume that there are people that are places where they'll dress up and do that kind of stuff. On the average weekend, when you go through there, it's probably more uniformish, depending on where you're going.
Right.
And I mean, and then once you're down there, Mount Rushmore is only, within a couple hours. Crazy Horse is within a couple hours. There's Rapid City that's a few hours, a day trip from there. Rapid City, in that area has a lot of stuff. They got a deal called Bear Country, and it's it's an animal preserve, and you drive through it. And so you drive through the wolf cage, and then you drive through the elk, you drive through the bison, you drive through the bears, you drive through the antelope, and all these different, stuff like that. And
you had me at wolf.
Well, they have, and they're all out. A lot of them are laying on the road and stuff like that. I mean, you're driving through the deal, and then on the inside, the smaller creatures are all in their little habitats, the foxes and the badgers and the coyotes and that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, there's if you want to go see all these animals and see them close, but not so close that they're going to get you. I mean, those things, are really fun to go to, especially for kids, because they're big elk. There's big horns, and they're the antelope and the moose and the cougars and all these different things. And it's a good time. I
would love it. It absolutely sounds like heaven to me. Cause I'm in New York and I'm in Long Island, which, we have deer and raccoons and stuff like that. But in order to see what you're talking about, I'd have to go to a zoo. And that's not how you want to see them. You want to see them out really in nature and experience that. And that's amazing to me. So, everywhere around you seems to be, like a nature preserve or a historic town. For anybody who's you should work for the Tourist Bureau of Montana at this point.
Well, I'm not sure we need a ton more help. The show Yellowstone kind of showed everybody where I live and what the environment's like around here. That's most of Montana. I'm on the other side, closer to the Great Plains, less mountains, less trees, more wind, but 4 or 5 hours south of me in South Dakota, and I'm in the Black Hills, 6-7 hours west, I'm in the Rocky Mountains. And you go up a little north and you start getting back into mountains in Canada and that kind of stuff. And it's, I encourage anybody that lives in big cities that has the opportunity to do a little bit of traveling. There's nothing more fulfilling than going out and being in nature and having space, especially people that live in the more concrete jungle-ish type atmospheres and places. My idea of a vacation is not going to Orlando. You know what I mean? Where I'm elbow to elbow with people. It's nice to have space and see green and smell the trees and play in the water and it's a slow life. It's slow moving, slow mentality. No, you're not rushing around and have to be here and have to be there. And it's
but it's not boring either.
No, it's not boring. There's tons of stuff. It's just you're not fighting with a ton of people to see all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great thing. And like you said, a little bit of both. Maybe you go to Orlando with your kids, and then maybe you bring them into Montana so you can experience the nature, and you get the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like this show. You get plenty of information, different points of view, and that's why we like it. And unfortunately, we've given you our hour.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be back again tomorrow, but your hosts are going to be Ron and Kenny. On behalf of JP and myself, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Remember to hit up all of our social medias. Help us out. Have a wonderful, no matter where you are, you can go to Orlando, you can go to Montana, wherever you are. Please enjoy your Labor Day. And remember, if you need some fun, join us because we have it going on daily. Bye, folks.
Bye.